Welcome, welcome. We're going to start in a second here. I can see lots of confused faces. You're probably wondering who the heck I am. My name is Kevin Renoir. I'm one of the interns here at the Kauffman Foundation. Today's intern takeover at 1 Million Cups. The organizers decided they wanted to take a break, so we're going to do their job today, and it's going to be a fun time. Actually, I want to take this moment to thank the organizers because they do a really good job. So if you would join me in just giving them a round of applause. And they do this stuff every week in addition to their normal 9-to-5s, and they're really concerned about this Kansas City startup ecosystem. So yeah, they're a really good group of people, and they're letting us do this. So we're really thankful to have them here. The other interns that are going to be joining us today are Ashwini Krishnamurthy and Janice North. And they're over there on this side. Be sure to say hi to them and thank you. I want to start off by introducing our panelists, Alex Altomari and Lawrence Andre. Alex is with The Collective and Lawrence is with The Way Inside. And they'll be our panelists today. And our two presenters are Luke and Natasha. We'll just start off real quick. This is KC Crew. Luke will be presenting to you. Enjoy your time, and please ask them really good questions. Oh, and we're going to try something really different today because we're entrepreneurial and we like to disrupt. Something that we learned at the summit that some other communities do around the country is when the presenters come up, they give them a standing ovation. So to get your blood pumping this morning, as Luke comes up, please give him a really loud round of applause and stand up and welcome him here. Thank you, guys.
Awesome. Can you hear me? I turned it on. Everybody can hear me? I'll start it. Don't worry. I got it. All right. So I'm going to jump in really quick because I could talk on this for hours. So picture it. It's 2012. I'm living downtown. I'm working downtown as a computer programmer at VML. But I'm driving out to Shawnee Mission to play sand volleyball. I'm driving out to Blue Springs to play softball. And one night, me and my friends are sitting at the bar thinking, why are there no quality leagues in downtown Kansas City? So I thought, well, I can rent a field. I can build a website. And the next morning, I'm the guy that got up and did it. So I actually rented 2 softball fields Monday, Tuesday, 2 sand volleyball field Wednesday, Thursday, and we actually had 1,000 people play the first year grassroots. So fast forward, I'm thinking this is really, really cool. It keeps growing through 2013, through 2014, and then it's the end of 2014. Someone comes along and says, wow, hey, this is really cool. Can I buy KC Crew from you? And I say, holy cow, this is actually a business. This is worth something. This is crazy. Still working at VML full time. 3 years go by. We hit 3,000 people in the 3rd year. And so I think, well, if somebody wants to buy this after 3 years of me really doing nothing, what is this worth if I put full time into this? So leave my job in 2014 at the end. Last year in 2015 at the end of our 4th year, I actually spent most of the year trying to figure out how to run a business and how to pay myself. But we actually grew to 4,000 league participants last year and 5,000 event attendees. So why is KC Crew different? There's tons of rec leagues all over the place, parks and rec leagues, things like that. KC Crew's goal was purely recreational and purely downtown Kansas City. So when I say recreational, we're solely co-ed. We don't do any men's leagues or women's leagues. It's all combined. It's all beer league softball, beer league kickball. And then one of our biggest features with KC Crew is the software. It's really automated. So as far as the management side and the user side, it's extremely easy to use and extremely able to grow. So last year in the 4th year when we grew to 4,000 people, I was still the only one managing everything, and that's using the software. So another really cool thing that we have through KC Crew is a free agent system. So say you're new to town and you don't know anyone and you want to get to know people, you can actually join KC Crew as a free agent and it'll draft you onto a team. So you can actually play and get to know people through that. And we also take whole groups of people, so 10 people, and put them all on a kickball team that don't know each other. And then next thing you know, they become best friends or going to the bars together. We've had teams we put together 4 years ago that are still playing together. And then we also do a weekly bar league. So if you're not familiar with how rec leagues work, it's typically seasons, so winter, spring, summer, fall. They're about 8 weeks long. Most rec leagues actually do a whole bar for the whole season, 1 bar. So we actually switched it up and do a different bar every week for 8 weeks. So first week could be McFadden's, second week Kelly's, then Soul. And what's really cool is we offer specials to those bars to all the participants all week long. They can actually check in through our system as well. Whatever team checks in the most that week wins a $100 gift card back to the bar. And then on top of that, we provide incentives just for winning your game. So if your team wins your softball game, my umpire puts the scores in on his phone, it updates the rankings, it automatically emails a coupon to the whole team. They walk into the bar, click a button, and get a round of nachos for their team. So it really drives people into the bars every week, which is cool for socializing, but it also becomes a revenue model for us as well. And then feedback. We really survive off of feedback. We constantly are asking people what they think. We even have a survey every week on the schedules that the players can fill out, that they let us know whether, how was the umpire this week? Was he in a bad mood? Did he do a good job? How was the equipment? Can we improve the softballs? And how was the bar week? Was there enough room to sit? Did they know you were coming in? So we really get this feedback every week, review it, and then move along through there. We've got some really cool stories. So our free agent system, this is a couple that met through our dodgeball leagues. A year later, they won the dodgeball tournament, and he proposed right afterwards. These are their engagement photos. So we've got tons of stories just like this through our free agent system. We have about 500 people a season sign up as a free agent looking to play sports. And then we have a really great partnership with Parks and Rec. So we go out, we rent the fields, then we market the leagues and sell the leagues and rent the fields through Parks and Rec. So they've been amazing. They've done a great partnership with us. So this is actually their social media and some pictures from Sunday. We set up at their big picnic. We put games all over the place and let the public come out and play. So KC Crew also evolved from rec leagues into events. Just kind of made sense. Let's throw a pub crawl. So in 2012, the whole Mayan End of the World calendar thing, we decided let's make a zombie pub crawl called End of the World Pub Crawl. We shut down a street. We put volunteers out as professional zombies that roam the street. Everybody got flag football belts and ran from bar to bar, dodging the zombies who were trying to grab their flags. We sold it out 1,000 people. We've sold it out every year. This will be our 5th year. We took it to Denver 3 years ago. This year was the 3rd year. We hit about 500 people in Denver, and we're expanding to other cities slowly. We also added Downtown Open this year in partnership with the Parks and Rec. It's urban golfing up and down Main Street using the streetcar as a golf cart. You were chipping off landmarks like the Kaufman Performing Arts Center and the library and putting in the bars all up and down Main Street. That sold out the first year in May. This year, 1,000 people. Our next big event is the KC Olympics. We're partnering with Hope House. It's the lawn of Liberty Memorial. We're doing a grass volleyball tournament, a kickball tournament, a tailgate pentathlon, and then it'll end with a celebrity torch relay around Liberty Memorial up to the tower and lighting the tower with a gold medal ceremony and a concert at the end. So we've really grown into events as well. So what's really on our focus now? So I've actually started hiring employees, thank God. So I have one full-time employee and a part-time employee. We're really focusing on private and corporate leagues. So the advertising group of Kansas City came over last year to play kickball with us. So it was one sale to the group, and we actually got Barkley, VML, SHS, all these advertising companies to play with us. And we also brought over this year a group of 16 architectural companies that have been playing together for 10 years, now play under KC Crew as well. So we're really focusing on that because that's a one-to-one sell and getting multiple teams rather than trying to sell everybody individually. We're focusing on sponsorships. The next big thing is we partnered with Port KC to build fields down at the riverfront. So we actually have a really big opening on July 31st. We're building 6 sand volleyball courts. We're going to start growing leagues and offering more down on the riverfront. We're really excited about that, just because there's not enough areas to play in downtown Kansas City. So that'll help us reach the Northland and bring people from south. And then metro expansion. As we launch the software, we'll be able to expand up to Gladstone. We'll be able to go down to Overland Park and just slowly spread throughout the metro rather than just offering leagues downtown. So the idea is play downtown, support the bars downtown, play in Gladstone, support the bars in Gladstone. So it's essentially play where you live. That's all I got. I almost did it. Thanks for coming out. I really appreciate it.
Awesome presentation, Luke. Luke is actually one of the organizers for 1 Million Cups every week. So he's one of those all-star guys I was talking about. Our panelists will start off with questions, and then we'll open up to the rest of the audience.
Well, in the beginning, you really quickly kind of glossed over how you got your first few people competing in those things. Was that an effort to go and get people, or was it just your friends and kind of happened naturally?
In the beginning, it was just friends. It was really just reaching out through their friends and their friends. And honestly, it was because there was just a need. There was no organized, really good leagues in downtown. So as we offered, people just started telling everyone. And again, when I looked at it, I always try and make things better. And so I said, what don't I like about the leagues I play in? And let's make that better. That's why we added a different bar every week. That's why we gave free stuff away. So I always look at how I can make things better. And then from there, I've literally heard people pitching for me, saying like, you got to play in this league. You get this and this and this and this. You know, so it really started with friends, and they just started telling everybody from there.
Wow, Luke, there's a lot going on in this business. There's a lot for this room to sink their teeth into. Two things that I'm keenly interested in. First of all, we talked a little bit about last year you had awareness that you really had a product that fit the market, it was ready to invest in this and scale. Can you share with us some of the decisions that you kind of went through at that point? Maybe some of the things that you were, indicators that you were looking at that said, hey, we need to take this to to an entirely new level?
Sure, yeah, and I think it partly started when when I realized it was a business, I then sat down and met with some finance people and figured out like how much money are we making, how can I survive? And then I started to figure out like, well, okay, this softball league on Monday night, how many people are playing, what are they paying, how much, my expenses, really budgeting each individual event, and really figuring out, wow, this is working, we're growing, we're offering, instead of Monday, Tuesday softball, now we're offering softball every night of the week, we're offering sand volleyball every night of the week, we're offering kickball, flag football, karaoke, and so it was really deciding like, what are the best leagues to add, and getting the feedback was a lot of that, hearing from people what they wanted to see and what they wanted, and growing it that way.
So I love the fact that you were doing this for 3 years without even really thinking about it as a business. You know, it's a lesson we can all learn, that don't get too hung up on the numbers right away. Figure out where the market is and what you can do. I love the fact that you did that. Second question I'm really curious about here is inevitably the problem that we start off to solve. You know, when you, in 2012, when you went down this road, whatever problem you in your mind, you're saying, this is what we're trying to solve, that evolves. And by the time you get to 2015, you probably see that problem and the value you're delivering differently. Can you walk us through maybe how you viewed the problem that you're solving changing throughout those first 3 years?
Yeah, you know, in the beginning it was really just offering a better solution in a more pristine location. But I think as it grows, you know, one of the hardest struggles for me is that I really realize you cannot make everyone happy. I read those feedback and I get super upset when someone complains. And I look, all right, how do we fix this? And sometimes you just can't fix it. And unfortunately that's really tough to sink in. But I think, you know, as far as the growth of it, it's really just deciding how we can make that better, and how I can copy this model over and over again. And again, the idea is we have people coming from Gladstone, coming from Overland Park, coming from the areas I was playing in are now coming to play with us. So my idea is I want to offer the same solution to them. Play in Kansas City, but also play in Gladstone and support those local areas. And so that's really how it's changed. In the beginning, it was like, how can I help me and my friends? And now it's like, how can I help everyone else? And the idea is Parks and Rec is really excited. The software, we're hoping to help them grow their own leagues and show them how we've been able to run this model more efficiently and offer that to them as well. So that's what I'm excited, is to help the other cities and the other areas to offer the same thing to them.
One of the things that will be interesting to watch as you move forward, Luke, and say the next 1, 2, 3, 4 years is, you know, you started off running the recreational leagues. That's what KC Crew was created to do. Out of that came kind of this software opportunity, and we chatted about that briefly, that there's software underlying this. Does that software spin off and become a different business, or does the software maybe become the primary business that you focus on, and the KC Crew stuff kind of, you know, goes off somewhere else and was really just a feeding ground for the software business? It'll be interesting to see where you take this.
Yeah, and I appreciate that. As a software guy, yes, the software for me is what I'm really excited about. We've already spun it off. It's called League Ally. We already won a Digital Sandbox grant for that. We were in the top 100 for the Launch KC last year. We applied again for that this year. We're getting ready to launch that, so obviously KC Crew will be the first beta tester of the new software. But the idea for the software is essentially offering that in other cities as a licensing model or an expansion model for KC Crew, but it has a global network, so you can actually travel from city to city and immediately sub in sports in every city. So that's a whole nother presentation as I come back in a couple months, but I'm really excited about the software.
Congratulations on the volleyball courts opening up at the end of the month here.
Thank you.
I get asked often how to approach the city about collaborations or with ideas. Do you have any advice to entrepreneurs who maybe see an opportunity and would like to approach the city? Or maybe you can share a little bit about how you ended up actually making that happen with them in collaboration?
I think, like I said in the beginning, I was genuinely trying to help, like genuinely coming to them like, what you're doing is not working, this is not okay. And in the beginning I was just like everybody else renting the fields, but as we grew, they took notice to that. And I think we ended up having several sit downs of like, what are you doing? How are you doing this? And it was really like, how do we make this better? And again, I'm willing, some people look at us as competition, but there are other rec leagues in town that we try and work with, and we try and get, there's enough to go around. So for us, we were genuinely trying to help Parks and Rec. We started using fields they hadn't used in years. Roanoke Park was a sand volleyball court that we still play in every night of the week, and we helped get PIAC funds to redevelop that entire park. And so the same thing happened with Parade Park. Nobody was using it. We started using it every night of the week. Now the Royals came and bought it, and they're building the Urban Youth Academy. So essentially, it's almost like economic development, which is how we got the riverfront done. If you build it, they will come. So essentially, we brought people. It becomes a safer area because there's thousands of people, and then more and more people start using it. So honestly, try and help. That's what we did. We wanted the city to succeed, and I think we're a little spoiled with Kansas City being more open-minded than other cities, but it's been a great partnership.
Luke, for those of us that have been around Kansas City and know the story of the Crossroads and what the arts community has done for that, it sounds like you're doing a little bit something similar for the Parks and Rec District, revitalizing places that have long been forgotten.
Yeah, honestly, it's just been exciting to be in Kansas City during these last five years. It's amazing, so we're excited.
We'll open it up to the audience. Got one in the front right here.
Yeah, just a quick question. You talked about the technology and the other, the expansion of the people coming in. How are you able to scale the referees? Because the referees usually are the pinnacle point because people get angry at them and they don't know what sport is and all that kind of stuff.
Sure. So part of the being recreational, and I actually joined an if you didn't know, there's a sports and social association, which I didn't know until this year, but there's all these groups from around the United States that get together and they knowledge share, and there's leagues out there been doing it for 20 years. They actually, and I'm glad I didn't know it existed, because when we went recreational, we got fraternity guys and college kids to come in. We literally teach them the rules, but we talk to them. It's more about the experience. I don't care if you know every rule in the book. I care that they're having a good time, so that we coach them into that. And what's great about the fraternity and the colleges, there's new guys coming in every single year, and they really love it. It's extra money for them. Whereas the other associations around the United States, they go for the $50 an hour umpire who's been to umpire school, and it's serious. And when you start at that level, people play at that level, and it doesn't seem as fun. So it is going to be an issue scaling, but I think part of the software model is offering it to people who are already running leagues. So part of it is going to let them figure it out. But part of the software is it automates the umpire applications thing. It automates the umpires filling their own time. So when an umpire says, I can't work tomorrow, it prompts all the other umps who are off, and then they can fill in for him. So it really takes a lot of that work off. But it also, each sport has an application process, and you only get approved to, it's a really whole process in the software to find umpires. But I think that's a struggle with any business, finding good employees. At least I know I've had that problem. But I think it will be a struggle as we expand, but using the software makes it a lot easier.
Hey, Luke, I'm Suzanne Parcell. Kudos, this is just awesome.
I saw you laughing the whole time. Thank you. I'm a stand-up comedian on Thursdays if you want to come out.
So to me, this is the social grease of economic development for the greater Kansas City region. And having been a newcomer to Kansas City and wanting to play sand volleyball, especially like the free agent part, because everybody goes, oh, we've already got our team. And took me a while to get to play sand volleyball. So my question is how are you communicating what you're doing from an economic development perspective to various entities that are interested in that in the area? Because one of the things that I hear in my work in the bioscience community is being really concerned about the brain trust exodus from Kansas City with the millennials. And this is one thing I think that's really important to help them stay here and socialize and create their own culture. And I don't know that anybody, at least in my world, knows about that.
Sure. So it started grassroots, and now we do all social media marketing, and we have an email list. That's how we market all of our leagues. But that's one of our biggest things this year. You saw the private corporate leagues. We want to start offering, like now we have an advertising league, we have a architect league. We want to start offering more and more of those. So different industries, construction, startup leagues that are cheaper for them to play. We're talking to the chamber, hopefully trying to get some chamber leagues for chamber members. But I think it's really hard so our struggle is the small business struggle of we're trying to grow really fast, but we don't have enough people, and so we're trying to figure that out right now, and that's really our goal for the rest of the year is figuring that out. But I think that's going to be our job. I'm actually speaking to the city council tomorrow, so that's been my goal all year is get out and talk and start spreading the word, because for 3 years I was just head down and it was just growing. So trying to get out and talk about it more now. Any suggestions you have, I'm wide open to them.
Question over here to your left.
Hi, Luke. Nice job.
Thank you.
Question about competition. Is there other players in this market or other markets? You know, I was in Minneapolis before I came down to the area about 4 years ago. Minneapolis city sports through the city is amazing. That's maybe one of the reasons you pay a lot of taxes up there. But just curious, this market, other markets, what you see as competitors, whether any of the cities are competitors, and anyone on the commercial
in
side.
this in Kansas City, Missouri, there's one other league that offers a couple things: softball, kickball. We're really the only ones offering everything. If you go to our site, you're going to be probably blown away with everything we offer. We even have a karaoke league where teams come every week and sing karaoke against each other. It's themed. It's one of the best things in the entire world, I promise you. Tennis, ping pong. We try and make more and more leisure sports where you come every week and play badminton one week, croquet one. So we try and do everything. And it just offers a wide variety of things. But there are definitely other competitors in the sport. Kickball is probably one of the biggest ones as far as private leagues go. There's 3 or 4 private leagues that just do kickball. We're really the only one doing everything. And like I said, in 3 years, we really rose to the top of the market. I attribute a lot of that to the software and our feedback and our model of recreation and fun. For me, competition isn't competition. I think there's plenty to go around. We're always open to working with other leagues. But I think it will be a struggle for us, and that's kind of the research we've been doing, is looking at what cities need something and what they need. So for example, Columbia and St. Louis, I'm from around the Boot Hill, so I have a lot of friends in there, and I've been told that Columbia doesn't have kickball. Well, kickball is the biggest sport here. Why wouldn't a college town like that have kickball? So as we move into new markets, we'll approach the Parks and Rec, say, how can we help you grow this, and then start offering what is needed in those cities. But also, we've talked to the Parks and Rec director at Columbia, and he wants to use the software. So it may even more of a software side thing. Because for us, like he said, I don't want to worry about rainouts. I don't want to worry about employees. I don't want to worry about kickballs popping. So I'd rather sell the software side. So for me, it's a both-sided model. Just
All right,
stumped
if that's
everybody.
it, then the last question for you, Luke, is what can we as a community do for you?
Yeah, so most importantly, get outside, have fun, and be active in Kansas City. You know, I think there's so many things to do here. There's more and more being added every day, so there's no reason we should lose millennials to Denver who want to go hiking. We have tons of stuff here. Get outside, be active. And then secondly, come to our grand opening, Sunday, July 31st. There's flyers at the back. It's free, a free open play all day. We're going to have tournaments. We're going to have food trucks. We're going to have beer. We're going to have tons of stuff going on. So come out, check out our new facilities on the riverfront, and have fun. Thank you so much.
Wow, great job, Luke. Where are you? Oh, up here. Cool. Before I introduce the second presenter, I would like to make a few announcements. After the 1 Minute Cup today and 10 o'clock, 10 to 4:30, we have just stay, hang out with your peers, working with people from the Spring Accelerator and ECJC, just co-working space. Second one is from 11 to 12:30, we have the presenter from Brooke Beeson of Mears Advertising, as well as the Enterprise Center in Johnson County, and in collaboration with Sprint, we're going to have the kind of social, if plan, target, and measure social ads and what you could do to spend your dollar. So basically, like social and learning space. Third one is from 4 to 5:15. You can attend a free informational session to learn about several programs designed to help fund small businesses. We will have presenter from OutCap, Hispanic Economic Development Corporation, Justine Peterson, Network Kansas, and Women's Business Center. So our next presenter. Sorry? Oh, I was introduced at the beginning. I'm Janice North. I'm the second intern helping with the organization. And second presenter. Wait.
Gonna make an announcement.
Oh, Jacob. I'm sorry. Jacob is gonna make us fourth. Yeah.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Jacob Eliashar. I am the social media director of the Freelance Exchange of Kansas City, and I have a quick question to ask you. How many of you have ridden the KC streetcar? Raise your hand. I like it. Well, our program, every month, the Freelance Exchange hosts a luncheon at random places around town, And so the Kansas City streetcar branding is the topic at our luncheon. That will be next Friday at the Block School. So right around this corner here. And Willoughby Designs president Megan Stevens and the creative director Nicole Satterwright will also be there. And for more information about it, you can head to our Facebook page, thefreelanceexchange.com, or on Twitter, FXofKC. Thank you guys very much and have a great day. Thanks, guys.
An ad hoc announcement here really quickly. Has anyone here been to the Kansas City Fringe Festival? Has anyone ever been to this? Okay. So some of you come to this event to learn about what's going on in the community, and starting tomorrow night, I think the first full set schedule of performances is Friday, is the 11-day Kansas City Fringe Festival. Now, why would you care? If you like learning about entrepreneurism and seeing how early stage business development happens here at 1 Million Cups, what the Fringe Festival, one of the things it really does for a community is it allows artists to tell, these are performing artists. These are artists that are doing plays and music and dancing. It allows them to take concepts for scripts and plays and performances and put them in at a very low cost to expose you to different types of art. If that interests you, go check out the KC Fringe Festival. It's a wonderful event in Kansas City.
Our second presenter. Actually, before I introduce her, does anyone here know of a single mother? Personally? Great. All right, our second presenter, Natasha Kirsch. She has started a company, a 501c3 nonprofit, to help single mothers teach them skills, basically in pet grooming. And this company accepts people with criminal records, with low reading levels, as well as just people who need family flexibility. So she will help those mothers make more than $40,000 a year. And here, welcome.
Let's give her a standing ovation one more time.
Thanks for having me. Do I need to push a button? Maybe? No? Okay. I'm Natasha Kirsch, the Executive Director of EPIC. EPIC is Empowering the Parent to Empower the Child. We train single parents living in poverty in living wage, family flexible trades so they can do their most important job of all, raise their children out of poverty. Can everybody hear me okay? This is the first time okay, good. Our first trade is pet grooming. You might know us as the Grooming Project. I developed a plan for this in my master's program at UMKC Block School of Business. Since then, in our first 18 months, we have secured an empty building from the city, worked with J. Dunn converting this into a 12-station pet grooming school, and developed a brand and identity, raised over $500,000 to fund renovations, equipment, operating costs, and provide scholarships for our students. I grew up in the grooming business as the daughter of a longtime professional groomer and constantly heard about the shortage of groomers and the demand for skilled professionals. From this and my background working with women in poverty came the plan to provide impoverished mothers 6 months training at a grooming school, which would lead to well-paid employment and more stable lives for them. The problem in the dog grooming market is one of supply. As dogs have grown in popularity, becoming more central to the lives of their owners, spending on pet services has risen. According to the American Pet Product Association, total spending in 2015 was $60.6 billion. The fastest growth in pet spending took place in pet services, jumping 11% to $5.4 billion in 2015. Pet services includes bathing, grooming, exercising, training, and boarding. Petco and PetSmart in the Kansas City area alone need 40 groomers today. They are offering a sign-on bonus of $500 to $1,000 for qualified candidates. Clearly, dog groomers are in big demand. By the way, PetSmart told us in a letter, that annual salaries for full-time dog groomers range from $35,000 to $70,000 a year. We're addressing a shortage of trained pet groomers at the Grooming Project and helping at-risk parents provide for their families at the same time. At the Grooming Project, we charge a flat $12 for bathing and $25 for grooming, regardless of size. Beginning next month, we're raising our prices to $15 and $28. We largely serve low-income pet owners who can't afford to get the stray dog they just adopted professionally groomed, and the do-gooders that want to support our students. Revenue earned from student reduced rate grooms goes straight into the pockets of our students so they can help support their families while they are in our school. Today's pet owners are now identified by the industry as pet parents because of the care and attention lavished on their dogs and cats. Dogs have grown in popularity for a number of reasons, and adopting shelter dogs has risen as a popular alternative to expensive pedigreed breeds. The closest grooming school is 3 hours away in Chesterfield, Missouri. And coincidentally, Missouri is the 4th highest state in the U.S. of households that own a dog. Most groomers today learn the trade as an apprentice and are rushed into service to accommodate demand. The Grooming Project follows a set curriculum with state accreditation as one of the few sanctioned grooming schools in the country. But transcending our grooming credentials is the socially conscious halo of lifting women out of poverty 4 feet at a time. People feel good about helping these mothers, and pets become heroes. We want to be the Tom Shoes or the Ben & Jerry's of dog grooming. We've already overcome many obstacles in getting this idea to market, graduating our first class and placing 6 students. Going forward, funding looms as the primary challenge of refining our processes, building our brand, and developing our donor base. We believe the Grooming Project could be a self-sustaining entity as revenue from grooming sales and tuition reimbursement grows. But at the moment, we're living fundraiser to fundraiser and need the right people to make this happen. Teaching grooming skills is our secondary challenge. Our primary challenge is preparing women from impoverished, often desperate backgrounds to succeed as professionals. Think of the Grooming Project as a young puppy, eager, lovable, tugging at the leash. With the proper funding and the right people, there's no stopping this big idea.
Thank you so much, Natasha. Let's get questions from our panelists first.
Thank you. So there's a lot going on here. It's really cool stuff. I had a chance to talk with you a little bit before the presentation, so I have a little bit more background. What you're really dealing with is a big, 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 big problem. And it's job training for folks that are really challenged to have a job. And then if you can successfully solve that problem, it has so many spillover benefits for their families and for the community. What I like about this is how you have targeted into something. You've taken a really big problem and you've made it, at least it seems, small in comparison. And you've had some traction this year. I don't think you spoke to that in the presentation. If you did, I missed it. Talk to us about where you are with the traction you've gained this year and what you hope to do next year as you move to what I would consider product market fit and having a scalable, viable business here.
Sure. So we opened this year on January 11th. It took about 4 years to get opened. We got a $100,000 grant from the city. And a lease agreement for $1 a month. And we have partner organizations with, or partners with Operation Breakthrough, Rosebrook, City Union Mission, other shelters that feed us students that are interested in dog grooming. And we just graduated our first class of 6 students for our pilot program, and all 6 students already have jobs.
And your second cohort starts next month, and how many are you going to take there?
So we're taking 9 next month, and we're set to do 12 for each cohort next year.
And then if you can get through that and prove that the model works and have that traction underneath you, then you will start to think about, well, where does this go?
Right. We're hoping that once we can prove our concept here and really get our programming tight, that we might be able to move to other cities.
Now, one of the challenges I would think you would have in this, where you're at today and where you will be in the next 18 months, is figuring out where to kind of scope the business, where you should kind of get into, because there's a lot of problems, a lot of secondary and problems around the core piece of what you're doing. What are you using in decision making right now to kind of help you to guide, and yeah, that's something we should kind of roll into the project, or no, that's really outside the scope of, that would take us too far from the core value that we're delivering?
Well, we really focus on the 2-generational approach. So they have to be a single mother, they have to have a child underneath the age of 8. And part of our programming is financial literacy, parenting, and soft skills in the job market. So really anything that is going to help make our parents not only get a job, but keep their job needs to be part of our programming.
You mentioned towards the end that you live fundraiser to fundraiser, but in the beginning you mentioned something about offering scholarships to students. Do you charge tuition currently?
We do not charge tuition, and a part of our goal is to help get these families out of debt. For that reason, we do not charge tuition, but there are job training monies available that we will be able to tap into eventually because we are a certified school. But we're not able to do that yet. So that's why it's really critical for that fundraising right now.
Can you explain what you mean by certified school? Like, what does that enable you to do, or what was that process?
So that took about a year to become a certified school, and most grooming schools are not certified because grooming is not a certified field yet, but we see it moving in that direction. We are one of the few certified schools in the country right now, and it just basically means that we have the stamp of approval from the state of Missouri, and we have to adhere to all of their guidelines.
And my last question is, a lot of entrepreneurs are told, move fast and break things, or just go to a minimum viable product. It doesn't sound like going through a year-long certification process was the quickest path to just throwing open a school. How did you decide to go about that, and why did you decide that it was valuable, or was it not valuable?
Well, the biggest piece was that is I knew becoming a certified school was tied to additional funding. And so for our long-term success, it was critical that we became certified.
Natasha, I have one more question here before we open the audience. And to me, as I think into what you're doing, it just seems like such a no-brainer idea. I can just vision you. How many years ago did you kind of start down this path?
2011.
2011. So I can envision you 5 years ago talking to you, perhaps with your mom, because your mom was a pet groomer, and saying, there's all this need for this job. You probably had some inclination to want to serve this population and serve this problem. And you're like, this is just such a no-brainer. Why isn't anyone doing this? Have you ever kind of stopped and wondered, am I missing something? Because it just seems so logical.
Yeah, and I've wondered why. I mean, the pet grooming market has needed schools for a really long time, and so I've wondered why people haven't even started these schools before. So for us to be able to really capitalize on the lack of that and feed the parents in that we feel like really need this service is great for us.
Good stuff.
Hi. Sorry, I'm going to go ahead and butt in and be your first question. I think your idea is great, and I like the way, like the path that you've taken, creating a certification program so that the education you're offering and the training that you're offering is actually legitimized in the eyes of the state and by outsiders looking in, not just your word-of-mouth customers.
Thank you.
Have you thought about taking your concept, I mean, you're training a workforce here. Have you thought about taking your concept to pet insurance companies?
No. That's an interesting idea.
Personally, I'm a cat lady. They groom themselves, but, well, supposedly I wash them every once in a while. But either way, I spent so much money on my cats the first year that I got them, and they wanted to offer me insurance. So I have a finance background, so I ran the analyses, right? Is it less money for me to pay the insurance, or is it less money for me to just pay the out-of-pocket fees? But for grooming and pet maintenance, which preventative care is, taking off in the human realm, why not in pet realms also? And I think that you do get people who care whenever they're offered a second chance and they can go out and make a difference.
I agree.
So I have been introduced to some of these pet insurance networks. I'll get in touch with you later.
Yeah,
and
that would be
we can
great.
talk about
Thank
that.
Hi, I just feel like I've hit the big ka-ching showing up at 1 million cups a day. So I'm a veterinarian. I
Oh.
totally get this deal. I have tons of ideas for you about how to leverage this, especially here. And I just have to ask this question. How many people know that the Kansas City is the animal health corridor? How many people know that here? Thank you. That's awesome. Okay, 56% of the global assets in animal health reside here in Kansas City in the animal health corridor. So this business is perfect.
Thank you.
And so that's fabulous. I'd like to know what your selection criteria are for choosing candidates to matriculate through this school.
Well, it's really critical that our students have other partnerships because when I first started this project, I wanted to do housing, childcare, and the job training piece. We called it Parenting Out of Poverty until we realized that was the acronym was POOP. And then with graduate school, we decided to kind of hone down. So for us to really focus on the job training piece, our partners are so critical. So like City Union Mission is shelter for homeless families, and Operation Breakthrough serves childcare for those living in poverty. So we try and partner with those organizations so that they can be successful when they come to us. So that's a huge criteria for us. The second biggest one for me is attitude. It doesn't really matter to me that they've got 46 felonies or what happened in their past, or that they've never had a job. It's where's your head right now? Are you able to, if you're ready right now, let's capitalize on that.
Question over here to your left from the youngest person in the room. Also the only person who didn't laugh at the poop joke.
You said it's pet grooming. Does this include cats and rabbits and other animals, or is it just dogs?
It's actually just dogs right now, but this year one of our instructors just informed me that she has a lot of training on grooming cats. So we're going to start incorporating that into our program now.
I'm over here. I'd like to up this direction. Over here.
I have a quick question. Is this for single parents or just single moms?
So our first class was just single mothers, but the next class, I think we might actually be taking a single dad. The program is really for single parents that need these services. So most of our single parents, that means that they're 4 or 5 years away from getting a GED, or they've got felonies on the record preventing them from other career path.
Okay, now back here. I want to compliment you on what you are doing. This is absolutely, I'm over here.
Sorry.
This is absolutely phenomenal, and I think one of the things in the United States that we have been missing that you are starting to provide is rather than giving out free programs, you're offering people the ability to make something of themselves, which makes themselves feel like they're worth something. Mm-hmm. And it doesn't matter what the background is, and I think in order for us to get back to a solid nation, we need to have more programs like yours, so I commend you on that.
Thank you. I strongly believe that we need to make work pay, and that there has to be policy changes in our country for that to happen.
Another one on your left.
Okay, as a pet parent of a 8-pound piebald dachshund, love the logo.
Thank you.
Great graphics, great presentation.
We have really good marketing people.
You should, you got great notes, and I'm not sure how long you've developed this presentation, but you should be giving this presentation to a lot of interest groups that would probably support your organization. But you need to internalize that presentation so you don't have to do it from your notes. And I think a few times through, you probably be able to do that. Yeah. It's hard. Presentation is work, but that's just advice. That's one of the functions that we have here at 1 Million Cups. Give you a little nudge on some things to improve the presentation, but still it's in the 90th percentile of stuff that we see here, so congratulations on that. Hey, I want to bring the dog by. Where are you located? How can I sign up? How can I get my friends? I live in an apartment building with 23 units, and there's probably 16 dogs in there.
Great.
So I'll have 16 new clients for you.
So go to thegroomingproject.org, and we're actually booked out until the end of September, but after that we can get you in.
All right, great presentation, Natasha. You really have found a need, and you're matching things together. A couple of quick questions. One, that you're taking people with criminal backgrounds is fantastic. It seems like a mark on your record can follow you for life and really disadvantage you from an economic standpoint. You're training them, you're taking those people in. How are you getting past that issue when they are applying for jobs? Because I know a lot of employers still see that mark and don't want anything to do with them. And then second question was, you talked about possibly being self-sustaining. I'm curious how that would work, what that would look like.
Okay, so first question, how we get past that with the felonies, and 4 of my students that were just hired all have felonies. The demand is so high, they don't care. So for example, I had a student that great pet groomer, but she was not showing up on time, and some days she just couldn't make it. And so when Petco called and wanted a recommendation for her, I was honest with them and I told them, look, I can't put my stamp of approval on this yet. And they said, we don't care. We need 20 groomers right now and we have to hire every groomer that comes through the door. We'll work with them. So that's really good for a lot of the students in our population because I've got another student who's never ever had a job before. She's 29 years old with 3 kids. So it really helps them grow. Second question with tuition reimbursement. There are groomers actually right now in the Kansas City area that are getting vocational rehab training money for job training. Full Employment Council actually just got a huge grant where they're sitting on a lot of job training money. And as long as we are a certified school and can prove that there's demand in the field and that they'll make a living wage, they're open to funding half of the $6,500 that it actually costs me to put a student through the program.
Natasha, I'm absolutely blown away. You've got it all together. Can you tell us a little bit more about yourself? You seem to have some very eclectic backgrounds, social work, business.
Well, so I'm a political science background and then master's in nonprofit management. My real passion came from early childhood development. I ran a daycare for about 6 years. And then after that, started working with homeless families. And I was a budgeter at Community Link, worked with Stop Child Trafficking Now, and finally was at Healing House working with addicts and alcoholics in recovery homes. And it was really my volunteer work here in Kansas City that I realized that a lot of these people are still selling drugs and still prostituting themselves because they have to. They don't have another choice. And there's a really big lack of human dignity there, and that's really where my heart lies.
You got time for one more?
Oh, sure.
Question regarding going back to the whole idea of felonies and some of these people's backgrounds. In my mind, this would be a perfect at-home job.
Mm-hmm.
Do you are you working to train them, get them equipment,
Yes.
so they have those flexible hours? What's your plan
Yes,
there?
so we're actually, we're encouraging our students to go work for somebody else for a couple of years just so that they've got other people around them as questions arise. But the idea for pet grooming came because my mom worked from home and she scheduled her dogs around us as kids, and I'm the first person from my family, extended family, that's ever gone to college, and that came from my mom always being there. So I think it's really important that some parents can work from home.
One last question from the audience over here.
Hi. Do you foresee a time when the market becomes saturated, and do you have plans for other training programs?
That's a very good question. We were worried about the market becoming saturated for a little while. We thought maybe 5-10 years it might, and we might need to look to a different trade. But from what I'm hearing from Petco and PetSmart, with them telling me that they need 40 groomers every year and they don't see that stopping, and then that doesn't include the other 250 vets and grooming salons that hire groomers, that's not a big worry on my mind right now, but something we need to watch. And as far as opening up other trades, we have a board meeting on the 30th. That's a strategic planning session, and hopefully that will be discussed. Because the plan was that we would start other trades, but right now I'm finding that there's a lot of people in the Kansas City market that are in different trades, but serving the same population that we are. And so we're actually talking about forming an alliance now where we can just share what's worked for our program, what's worked for their program, and maybe we do just stay in the dog grooming business. Who knows?
You mentioned the board. Can you talk a little bit about the challenges in creating the board and the evolution of your board?
It's been a growing board because as we have started, we were in the startup phase, and then so the board really took on a lot of the operations. So our board actually acts a lot like staff and governance, and a few of our board members are here today. But I think it's constantly going to be changing as we evolve as an organization.
Another one over here on your right.
Great job, Natasha. You mentioned the candidate who was showing up late and having a hard time with that. How do you integrate the soft skills into your curriculum?
So we actually are realizing that high schools, for their behavioral development students, have a really good job training program for the soft skills piece. So we're trying to adapt that and tweak it so that it will fit our students. And a lot of it is conflict management. You know, how do you tell your coworker that you're mad at them instead of punching them in the face or yelling at them? Or how do you, you know, why is it important to show up on time? Why is it important to call in when you're going to be sick? And so part of it is it's their own tracking piece. So every week or month, we're still trying to figure this out, they will grade themselves. And the whole point is that at the end of that month, that their grades were better from the last month, even though they're the ones grading themselves. So it's still a work in progress, but hopefully this will help us this year. Yes. Oh, a huge piece of our program, is coaches. Each student has a coach, and this really helps our student have support, because what we've realized with this population is that they don't have your traditional support. So a lot of times, for example, I had a student, her mom called every day for 2 weeks screaming at her and at our instructors because she thought that our students should be at home taking care of her and not in school. Why should she be in school? So it's really trying to help them create a support system that they have never had before. And it's really about believing in them when, you know, maybe you have every reason in the world not to believe in them. But that's a critical piece of our program.
Awesome. Natasha, you did so well. Thank you so much. We have one last question from a Kaufman intern. Hi, Natasha. My name is Kevin Renoir. My very last question for you is, what can we as a community do for you?
Well, after September, bring your dogs in to get groomed. And if you can spread awareness about us, we're launching a crowdfunder. I've got to raise another $35,000 by next month to support the students that we're bringing in. So if you can help share us on Facebook and go to thegroomingproject.org, that would be a great help.
Thanks a bunch.
All right.
We forgot to do the mug club deal, but better late than never. That's how I graduated college. So if you have been to 1 Million Cups 10 or more times, please raise your hand. We'll choose very subjectively. Okay, let's go to the back. Guy in the hat. What's your name? Garrett? Garen. Let's give him a round of applause. All right, guys, and I think Ashwini is going to give us our final announcements.
Hi guys, I'm Ashwini. I'm one of the interns at the Kauffman Foundation. Thank you so much for letting us run 1MC. I hope we didn't do too much worse than the regular organizers. But thank you so much again, and next week come back. We're gonna have Brick and Gorilla Signs as our next presenters. So thank you. Enjoy. Connect.